The following podcast is brought to you by the Ebb-Tide Treatment Center. Many people wrestle with addiction. You don't have to. Reach out to the Ebb-Tide Treatment Center, where they wish to empower each individual encountered with the support, hope, and tools required for long-term sobriety, priding themselves on providing the best possible treatment experience for you and your loved ones based on unique needs. They're committed to breaking the stigma that plagues those suffering with addiction and their families by educating and bringing awareness to the community. The Ebb-Tide Treatment Center provides individual and group therapy, multiple recovery pathways for support, evidence-based clinical support, integrated aftercare social reintegration, personalized treatment planning, program addressing whole life health, and Vivitrol program, all available. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, reach out to them at ebbtidetc.com or call 844-430-4357. Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we get this week's episode started, of course, want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. First off, thanks to Angelo's Pizza. We're dining on pizza here this evening as we record the episode. If you want to enjoy some delicious food and dishes from Angelo's Pizza, head to Angelo's on Madison Avenue in Lakewood, Ohio for their award-winning pizza along with everything else that they have to offer. Of course, as always, thanks to Smart Mark Video. Smart Mark Video helps us get the live event shows out to you. If you're not able to be there in attendance, go to smartmarkvideo.com, download the MP4 digital streaming, or purchase an AIW DVD. Or
Blu-ray.
Or Blu-ray.
Buy those Blu-rays because they're more money for us.
We got the J-Lit is in Blu-ray right now. Am I right?
High def.
There you go. And as always, thanks to Jack Print, who takes care of all of our printing and graphic design needs, whether it be banners, flyers, business cards, absolutely anything that you could think of. They can do that for you if you're a small business owner or anything else you might have those needs for. Make sure you head to jackprints.com.
That's JAKprints.com.
That's right. There you have it. My name is Steve Guy. I'm your moderator of sorts on AIW's The Card is Going to Change. As always, joined by John Thorne, AIW owner, the first voice you heard.
Hello. Greetings. Buy those Blu-rays.
And the second voice you heard after mine is none other than excellence personified Brian Carson.
Yo.
And special guest also on this episode, he'll be chiming in, is none other than the president of AIW, Matt Wadsworth.
Hello.
I was trying to keep this episode alcohol-free until Steve Guy showed up drunk.
Steve Guy showed up, he had a few drinks. Not worldwide status.
I'm going to have to moderate you.
Not worldwide status.
Showed up with enough alcohol that he's talking about himself in the third person.
Yeah, that happened that one time there. It's happened more than just now, Wadsworth. Calm yourself.
Steve Guy
All right. On speaking of alcohol, today's episode is going to be called Night of the Creeps.
What does that have to do with alcohol?
Well, creeps. You drink a little bit, become a creep.
I was going to give him more credit. I thought he was going to say because it was a bar show.
I thought he was going to say because
that was the show. That was the next spot.
The show took place at Tequila Jack's.
It was a double entendre. Not double entendre. There were two things there. Night of the Creeps taking place at Tequila Jack's, June 10th, one of our famed folklore bar shows. I don't know where to necessarily start with this. I don't want to start with the main event, though that was our biggest thing that kind of came from it.
Well, let's start that Tequila Jack's is no more.
No.
All right, that's a great point.
This is the final event ever in the history.
Final Tequila Jack show.
Now, for those who are unaware, as we reference this, the building still stands. It was not our fault. It's not like we tore the building down.
Speak for yourself.
Some
man.
of the
building
some
was
of the
torn
matches
down for
tore
most
the
of the
house
shows
down.
Torn out from the inside the last 3 events we had there.
But they have since switched names. It is now called Music Links. Is this due to ownership change, John? You know better than
There is a new investor of sorts.
Oh,
I don't remember his name, though. But
that's fine.
When we arrived, there was... So every time we've gone to Tequila Jack's, right before the event, the owner will text me and say, doing some renovations. I mean, we've been doing events now for like a year straight, right?
Every time.
Well,
there's
and here's the
renovations.
thing. It almost feels right because I seem to remember that being the situation when we ran there and it was the Funky Frog years ago.
Yeah, this place always changes names. We ran in 2007. It was called the Funky Frog.
Wow, 2007. We've made it to 2017. At least, well, there might have been another name in between. Potentially a
there's
decade
been-
as Tequila Jacks.
There's
We
been,
don't know.
Been a million names in between, but we were... So he tells me he's renovating, and I just want to be like, what fucking else is new? You're always renovating. Like, literally, every time we've gone in there, there's, like, dudes with, like, saws putting fucking paneling on the wall and cutting wood and shit. So I just expect that to be the scene going... Like,
Of what we're doing, yeah.
and when we get there, it is actually, for real, renovated this time. There is a stage... There's a new
Well, let me throw this out there. Ironically, because there was a stage previously. I've done stand up there. And
Okay, there was a real stage there now.
There was a real stage on the other side.
Yeah, back in when it was the Funky Frog, there was a stage there.
Yeah, and when it first went to Tequila Jacks, there was, and then they tore it down. We get told there's renovations, and those renovations, as far as we know, were the wood paneling, which you said, and they extend the bar out.
And they make a stage that is 1 foot off the ground.
You know what the renovations weren't? Air conditioning upstairs.
True.
It was hot as hell having to announce up there.
Well, and that's the other part of it. So prior to this, you never had to do the
balcony, basically.
Yeah, you didn't have to do any of the commentary. You did it all on the 1 foot stage, which John
is
said.
fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love being up there because I always feel I hate being in the background of all the shots on the old setup. So I love that aspect of the setup. But it was hot as hell up there.
Now the stage is directly as you walk in the door. The stage was
It's like a real stage.
It is a real stage. It's probably, I don't know, 4 feet, let's say, off the ground. And now because of that, the commentary has to be moved into the upstairs, which the upstairs used to be the changing room for everybody that was going to be there.
Well, it's part changing room, but we mainly use just outside as the entire locker room.
and
And
now
upstairs is always a nice spot to
More
kind
people
of
got
watch.
changed in the U-Haul
Right.
truck than they did upstairs.
I was going to say, officially, though, the locker room is now outside, no qualms about it. It's U-Haul or picnic tables.
And that's why we're pretty much summertime only at the Tequila Jack / Music Links, because they could not accommodate a real locker room in the winter months, especially out there where it gets all fucking kinds of snow.
Now the snow belt.
I don't know. Carson's here. Carson, will you change out in the snow?
No.
All right. So going into the show
That
itself.
took a weird turn.
Yeah, sorry. The show leads off.
It's wellness policy for you going forward.
No more drinking before the podcast.
The show itself, Night at the Creeps, leads off with Derek Direction versus Big Twan Tucker, which is one of our students. And that was not originally on the card, John Thorne.
Yeah, it was added the day before because ticket sales weren't looking that good. And Big Tweezy, I thought, might be able to pull a couple fan members in there, help us out, help us cover the budget.
Did you get what you wanted to out of that?
No,
Well, and that is actually an interesting with this show is you had essentially the first singles matches for a lot of these students.
Yeah, you're
I take that back. I mean, I did get what I wanted out of it because it's trial by fire for a lot of these students. You know, you can go and you can train and do everything at training and plan everything out and do, just wrestle your friends. But really the only way that you're going to learn is just by getting out there in front of a live crowd and doing it. So it's not always going to go amazing.
Right.
This did not go amazing.
No.
Well, and that's the thing. Like a lot of these guys, even the Back to the Future Cup match wasn't necessarily the best indicator of what to expect because
Yeah, for this grouping of students,
because
that was
they
their
had
scramble.
been
Yeah.
they had been working on that specific match. They were
Yep.
there the night before. This is the first time for pretty much all of them that they've been thrown in there with someone that they probably haven't worked with before to have to try to figure it out, to have to try to get it together, get out there and perform.
And they had 3 ropes.
And they had 3 ropes, which was new to them.
You know what? That may have thrown Twan Tucker off, is the fact that he had 3 ropes instead of 2.
I think when he woke up in the morning, that throws him off. But other than that,
Oh,
I love Tweezy.
But yeah, I mean, so I take that back. I got what I wanted out of it because, he's got to learn that it's not always going to be your night, and he learned it maybe a little sooner than some of the other guys. But that's the way it goes. Everyone learns at a different pace, and obviously, that was a situation that he wasn't necessarily ready for. He was great in the scramble and great. He does good things at training, but it's a whole different story when you're out there in front of people. You're wrestling this guy you don't know. Like, I don't think he's ever met Derek Direction before.
No, he met Derek like that day. Like, he never met Derek before.
And Derek is different than the guys he's used to working with in training. Derek is a fantastic talent. He's a guy that's really come a long way over the last couple of years. But you look at the guys that Twan trains with and the guys he's worked with already, it's a lot of small high flyers that he can just kind of toss around.
Yeah, you're right. This is really the first time he's worked with somebody where it's a comparable size, and essentially they really have to put a match together. There's no crazy spots that are happening because you've got these high flyer lightweight kids
dropping the tizerms on us, huh? Spots.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, so I mean, I guess I did get, obviously it's not a match that's setting the world on fire, but for him, it's probably something that he's going to remember, and it probably, is going to contribute to him applying himself and getting better at a quicker pace because it didn't go that well. So yeah, I take back my original statement. I did get what I wanted.
And plus, like when he was done, like Dom and I took him to the side and like explained to him like what he did wrong and everything, and like just made sure because when we you train these guys 3-4 days a week that we have been lately, we always want to make sure that they know, hey, this is why this didn't work. Not necessarily like what you did, but maybe it's because what you did earlier in the match, what you did later in the match, just like the things you can only learn from actually having a match in front of a live crowd, not just having a training match or running drills or anything like that. So we made sure that he understood those aspects of finally working.
Plus, a lot of people don't realize, Twan Tucker is a young kid.
Just
very young,
high
yeah.
school, like
straight out of high school, like a couple months ago. So,
Yeah.
It's a little bit shocking to just be out there in front of people. You know what I mean? So it's some people have a longer learning curve than others, and I think that this was actually taught him a good lesson.
Oh, absolutely. And Carson, to your point, with you guys working on everybody, this is part of why you're sitting in on this episode, because if anybody who listened to the J-Lit weekend marathon of episodes that we had, you and Dom have worked a lot with these younger guys, and this show was heavy on that. And these are guys who you've probably pulled after every single one of their matches.
If there was a student on the show, we pulled them all to the side and we explained to them. I mean, we didn't like tell them everything looked bad, everything. Like if they did something positive, we told them.
Well, of course.
And but if, like a lot of them, again, this was a lot of lot of them had the first singles match.
Yeah, this show was the learning curve.
Right, and again, it's a different crowd than than Back to the Future Cup. Back to the Future Cup had a lot more people. This was a closer set. There weren't as many
way
people.
More intimate setting.
Right.
Yeah.
You're really in front of people now. People can actually see the little thing as much as you just walking into the ring.
Yeah, they're right on top of the ring.
They're right in front of you.
Yep.
And again, yeah, they have those kind of matches where, like when Dom and myself and Dr. Dan and Frankie watch them in training and everything. But again, we're not the guys you see in the front row at every AIW show. We're not the guys sitting in the bleachers. We're not the other workers that are there. They have to deal with all that, and plus, like Thorne said, a closer setting and everything. I mean, the first time I wrestled there was a way different than wrestling at Mount Carmel, and you can't prepare for that until you walk through the curtain and get in the ring.
Oh, certainly. Well, and speaking of Brian Carson, and
we're all about positive reinforcement at the AIW Academy.
We absolutely are. Well,
positive thought. Be a good human.
As we said to start the year of 2017, this is the year of positivity in AIW. As we talk about Brian Carson and we talk about wrestling, he's actually on the next match in the card, tag teaming with Dr. Dan, Dedication Personified, taking on the Philly Marino Experience, Marino Tenaglia, and Philly Collins.
And we were victorious. You didn't put that in, Steve Guy.
That was the next statement, was that you guys were victorious.
They got to watch the show. If you tell them who won everything, they're not going to order it.
Yeah, we don't give it all away here, Carson. My goodness. I was only going to tell them you won because you're here.
I like Philly and Marino.
And that's what I was going to say.
So on board with that.
You've become such a big fan of what that tag team brings to AIW in terms of the fun factor, at the very least.
I also want to put over that I love the Sultan, who's currently on the television screen as we record this. I forgot how much I love the Sultan.
We are watching the WWF in your house, folks.
Ground Zero, dude. I bought this VHS
Dwayne's
tape.
got some short shorts on. Jesus.
But yeah, so I love Philly and Marino. I think that there is tons of upside to those guys. Obviously, you know, it's also a work in progress with them. Like, they're not going to be the guys that are, you know, main eventing any of the shows anytime soon. But I think that there is a ton of potential with those guys, especially Marino, who I think is going to probably develop into quite a good high flyer once he, you know, kind of breaks out of his shell a little bit and, you know, finds himself. And Philly Collins is a charisma machine, which is a very, very, very rare thing in the kind of modern independent landscape of just dudes doing moves. He definitely stands out to me.
Oh, those two are fantastic together. I remember the first couple times I saw them on flyers of some other local shows, and I was just like, I have no desire to ever see those guys in a wrestling ring. And even, you know, and Philly got a couple shots with us before Marino did. And watching them work together, they just have it as a tag team. They're together, they're in sync. They work so well together.
Oh, they do everything
feel
together.
Like a team, like a solid team.
They're like the more in shape version of the Weird World, who does everything together.
I don't know that you can look at Philly Collins and call him the more in shape version of anyone.
In terms of chemistry and doing things together.
Before you finish that statement, I saw Philly Collins the other day. He's probably lost 30 pounds.
Yeah, he slimmed down a little bit.
He's probably lost 30 pounds this night of the Creeps. I couldn't even believe it.
That's fantastic.
If anybody's going to know about losing weight, it's Matt Wadsworth right here.
Right.
Gold
Follow
Gym,
him on
baby.
Facebook. Gold
That's
Gym.
right, I'm
He's got the
repping it
t-shirt
now.
on.
I'm that guy that walks around on Gold's Gym
Walking
t-shirt.
billboard.
I'm going the opposite way. I had a stressful summer.
That's fair, you did. So that's that match.
Gonna have to hit the gas station.
The next match we roll into involves a first-timer at AIW. It's Dominic Guarini, the Bone Collector.
Who was not in his first time.
It was not his first time. All of you AIW fans know him.
That was a piss poor setup segue, Steve Guy.
Listen, let me finish the segue here, Matt Wadsworth.
You can't say he makes his debut and then go right into Dominic Guarini.
Take a breathalyzer right
who's
now.
literally been here the entire
Good
career.
Lord. I said it features an AIW first-timer, Myron Reed.
That's where you should have went, right there.
Myron Reed should have been the next part of that sentence.
Suspense, Wadsworth. Build the suspense. Talk about Dom, then it's like, oh, I know Dom. Who's the first-timer? Myron Reed, at any rate. Makes his AIW debut. Soren, tell us how you discovered Myron Reed.
I discovered him because people tweet about him.
There you go.
That's it.
But why? No, people tweet up to you. People send you Facebook messages constantly.
Yeah,
What
I don't
stood
read
out about Myron Reed that you were like, yeah, sure, let me look at this, as opposed to everybody else's stuff?
Because I get a lot of requests from Myron Reed, and I looked at his picture, and he was in shape.
There you go.
That's it. That's the method behind my madness. Never saw him wrestle one time.
Not like the email episode where we got people and we're like, nah, not going to look at them.
Oh, no. I mean, it was solely based on people tweeting us and always saying, you should book this guy, you should book this guy, you should book this guy. I don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of these people fucking wrestle. And, you know, there was a time where Biggins would watch the people and say, yay, nay, maybe. But, you know, obviously that can't happen anymore. So,
And you try to send me videos, and I can't make it 10 seconds.
Listen, man, I cannot watch these full fucking matches. Like, stop sending.
I don't want to watch the build-up.
Stop sending me matches. I don't care if you could do a wrist lock. I know that this is contradictory to professional wrestling as a whole, but I don't give a fuck. I assume that you can do those things. Show me the fucking cool shit that you can do.
Because here's what these videos are. It's a full match, which I'm not going to sit through.
One fucking hard cam a mile away from the ring.
And no commentary, so I have no idea who anybody involved is or what they're doing. Or it's the music video that shows you doing the exact
highlights,
same
yeah.
move 10 different times. Okay, I can see what you do in every match. Show me a little bit. Show me that you do more than just that one move, please.
So yeah, I never watched. I mean, the majority of the people were everyone's like, "Wow, what made you book him?" I never watched them wrestle. It's something else. It's always something else.
He had a little bit of a buzz about him in terms of people.
Well, and I was going to say,
he had enough people telling you to book him. And
Right,
you're like,
that's different
sure,
than
he's gonna
buzz,
get some
because
fans. Okay.
now, like, I'm almost at the point where people get too much buzz. I don't want to book them,
Okay.
which probably makes no sense. But it's just like I don't want to. Like, okay, so why am I going to book this guy that's on PWG? Because if you want to watch him, you're just going to watch him on PWG. You're not going to watch him at AIW. So who fucking cares? You know what I mean? Like, so I'm looking for like the guys that are kind of on that mid level almost.
Well, and there's a difference. We should say there's a difference between the guys who tell their fans to tweet you, book me,
Also,
and people legitimately.
That reminds me, pro wrestlers, stop asking people to tag promoters that you want, like they want you booked at. This is the most annoying new trend in independent wrestling and the worst use of social media ever. Like, there's a difference between people saying like, "Hey, book Myron Reed. Myron Reed's good." To, "Hey, tag the promotion that you want to see me in," and then you get fucking 27 Twitter notifications of the same fucking thing. But it's not only you. It's not exclusive to you. It's you and however many promotions they can fit in the characters that are remaining. Like, it's such a waste. It's so annoying. Wrestlers need to stop being so lazy and do something a little different to stand out. That's my soapbox for that.
I knew there was a hot button one. That's why I had to bring it up. And here's why, though. Because I knew that people were going to listen to what he was saying, and they were going to use it as validation, saying, "Oh, look, it worked for my." That's not what he's saying he did.
Yeah, but it was a different.
It's
form.
different.
This was legitimately people going, "Hey, man, I saw this Myron Reed guy. You should book him."
And then, also, other wrestlers suggesting him. Dominic Garrini, I asked him who he wants to wrestle, and he suggested Myron Reed. Other people have, told me, "Hey, you should," like, it's not like only fans. Other people in wrestling have said, "Hey, you should book this guy. You should book this guy." And these music links shows now, as they are called, there's a little bit more room to do things. I feel like it's almost it's the same promotion and the same whatever, but it almost feels like it's separate brand at some points, because it's not so loaded with the usual AIW talent that you see in a Mount Carmel show. It gives us a little bit more room to play with. It gives us an opportunity to, like we talked about with Twan Tucker, like these students can get some singles matches and get some reps in. So I'm not saying it's lower pressure, it's just different pressure, and it allows us to try different things.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed Myron Reed during that show, which it was a fantastic match between Dominic Garrini and Myron Reed, definitely look up Night of the Creeps on smartmarkvideo.com for that. But Myron Reed will be joining us for the next show at Music Links coming up this Friday, August the 18th.
Wow, it's coming up this Friday already?
Yeah.
They're moving up quick, especially when we got one right after that. But no, Myron Reed was fantastic, both in the ring and out of the ring. I mean, he grabbed me at intermission. He asked me what I thought.
Oh,
he was telling me
nice.
how much he wants to come back, and I told him at the time, I said, "Listen, don't expect the phone call anytime soon, because we're building the Absolution right now. There's no spots, period. There's nothing open, I can tell you."
He's another guy where I think people would be surprised to learn, based upon what he can do inside the ring and how respectable he is. He's much younger than you might think.
Well, and
without giving it away.
That was the interesting dynamic in that match. Is he and Dom debuted within a month of each other. They were both a little over a year into professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And they've both obviously come a huge way in that year. They're both incredible talents.
Oh, certainly. The next match we go into is the AIW Intense Championship. It's Alex Daniels taking on Facade. And this match was here, there, and everywhere that it could possibly be. I mean, outside the ring there.
And Facade lives for these bar shows. I mean, it takes him back to our old days of Peabody's and and he was there when it was the Funky Frog and we did all those kinds of places. Because he can come up with it plays right to him, to that crazy, unique. I'm gonna find something to jump off of. I'm gonna do 3 rotations off of this. I'm gonna jump off of this high thing.
This is the environment where Facade thrives.
Oh, this was Canadian Destroyer on the ring apron match. That happened. This match, there was so much happening in this match. At one point, Alex Daniels and Facade are on the outside of the ring, and Alex Daniels is too far away from me, and I don't remember who the referee was. Maybe it was Potato, and he was checking on him, and I literally had to like go down out of my little area and check on Facade and be like, hey man, are you alive? Is this okay?
He's always going to be fine.
And that's what he says. Literally, that was what he said to me afterwards. Hey man, thanks for checking on me. I'm always okay. I'm like, all right, fine.
I got faith in Laces.
Headed to India now.
I don't know if that's public knowledge or not.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, no,
yet.
he posted it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he posted it.
This is the night that he told me about that.
He told me at Absolution.
He told me. So
What he's doing in India, I don't believe is public knowledge. But the fact that he's going over there is.
Okay, then
and
you're right.
I wish what he's doing in India was public knowledge because it is such an amazing story.
I was going to say, this is essentially his swan song, I think, is in terms of a singles match.
Yeah, Absolution
Singles,
was
yes.
it.
Singles.
Yeah, he so like just to fast forward, I'm getting ready to leave Music Links. I'm driving Shayna Baszler. She wants to, we're gonna go hit a bar. There was like some kind of UFC event on that night, like maybe a fight night or something. I don't know.
Right.
And so she wanted to go find a bar, watch that, have some drinks, get some food. So like I'm trying to get out of there, and Facade's like, hey, can I talk to you real quick? And it's always unnerving when a wrestler wants to talk to you after the show because you don't know what they're mad about or what they could possibly bring up. You know what I mean?
Well, and love Laces, but he's a guy that likes to talk.
I mean,
when he catches you in a conversation, it's going to be an extended. When he's been around for a while, we've known him for a long time.
It's like
he enjoys the conversation.
You get to see,
he enjoys catching
Yeah,
up.
he does.
You get to see him. You get to see him for these short amounts of time. So I'm like, oh man, who knows what he wants to talk about right now? I'm trying to accommodate Shayna to get her to where she needs to go, and he tells me that he's moving to India. Absolution's going to have to be his final show for quite some time. He tells me why he's going to India, which I will leave out until he says it. And it totally blows my mind. Hilariously laughing. So ridiculous why he's going to India. But that's pretty much it. So
Not that he can't do it, but it's just so random.
no, yeah, it's just so ridiculous. So I kind of knew Absolution was going to be it for him for a while, but he told me at this event in the parking lot of Tequila Jack / Music Links.
From that bittersweet ending to that match and that moment, as you talked about, to the next bittersweet moment that happened there at formerly Tequila Jack's, now Music Links, Night of Creeps. Well, we kind of crowned.
Before you go on.
Okay.
I'm negotiating with people as we podcast.
Oh,
Mance is going to be making his AIW debut at Tequila Jack's Max Warner.
Oh, you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, he was a lumberjack randomly at Absolution.
And we'll get to that with Absolution, but that may have been one of my favorite parts of that match.
This Friday at Music Links, August 18th.
He's coming. I'm literally negotiating as we podcast.
There you go, folks. You heard it here first. This Friday already. You've got a first timer in the AIW.
We had a cancellation, luckily in advance for next Friday. So
which is a godsend for us. Normally it's
right.
day of.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. I was sending some messages out earlier, trying to figure it out, and here I am. I'm texting with Mance Warner right now as we podcast, and it is a done deal.
All right. Well, the bittersweet moment that I alluded to now happens in the form of some tag team mayhem. We kind of, sort of, crowned new AIW tag team champions this night, only for it to not really happen. If you followed us going into this, you knew that the Weird World...
Hey, man, had to pay tribute to the American Dream. I'm not even going to try to do a fucking accent, though, or a fucking impression.
No, absolutely not.
Carson, you got a Dusty Rhodes?
Well, let's see, baby. We had the Weird World. They're going in there with the, the Colin and the cheats, baby. Into infinity and beyond. That Toy Story. The Toy Story. I like the Buzz Lightyear, baby. So anyway, they go in there. They got their, the spray painted or the whatever you call the splatter paint, and they're giving it to the cheats and the Colin and the cheats. They're giving it right back, baby. You think they got those belts? Then all of a sudden, baby, a referee got distracted, got hit, whatever. Give the belts back. Restart the match. Fans were not happy.
Yeah, so if you...
Is this something to wrestle with?
That was actually my thought was, man, I wish Dick Justice was here because it feels like you're commentating with having worked with him.
Dick and I had a dusty off one time, and I don't think there was a clear-cut winner, but everyone was entertained by that.
I did commentary with him once at Girls Night Out, and I was like, I feel like I'm commentating with Dusty. Like, this is what it must have been like.
What's up, everybody? This is Alex Worldwide Keller here, telling you all about the Thrift Store Jobber and what he has for you this week. This week, it's a very interesting one, given our Wrestle Rager 2 Electric Boogaloo show coming up at Now That's Class August 26th. Ooh, this one is an ECW original. It is the Sandman Budweiser knockoff shirt. It's beautiful. 255 pounds. I never knew. Blood, sweat, and beers, baby. And this thing is a size extra large. Do some 12-ounce curls in this thing and see where you end up, pally. That's Thrift Store Jobber on Instagram, Etsy, eBay, and use promo code WORLDWIDE to get 10% off any order. You know, fun fact, hanging out with Too Cold Scorpio, he said me and Sandman would have gotten along famously. I guess we're gonna find out.
If you're familiar with AIW and the Tequila Jacks, as it was known, shows, then you knew going into this that the Weird World were undefeated at Tequila Jacks.
Once again proving that those shows are a bizarro world version of AIW.
Oh, I think they're going to be getting defeated for a new streak coming up after those fucking podcasts.
Oh,
poor Weird Body.
Yeah, poor Weird Body.
He was trying to shut Worldwide up the entire time, too.
I sure was.
I feel bad for Weird Body because he's
what
like...
What are you doing, dude? You can't say that.
Well, he's right because Weird Body knows what you can and can't say. And, Weird Body, I feel so bad for him because he's like, he's about over a decade younger than Worldwide, but he's like Worldwide's father. Like he's like his father figure.
Like he does everything for Worldwide except for like pick him up. Like Worldwide's responsibility of the Weird Body is like going to get him and bringing him like to all the shows and everything. But like Weird Body does everything else.
Yeah, and then
because when Worldwide does it, it gets screwed up like the movie deal.
Oh yeah,
don't bring that movie up.
We won't bring that back up. We're not going to bring that back.
Facade can talk your ear off. God, Worldwide won't leave you alone.
Yeah, when you see the Weird World at their gimmick table, ask them what happened between why they aren't going to be in the upcoming release of Powerbomb the movie.
They'll both go off about it.
It's
dissension. They literally both came to me to break up over that. They did not want to tag anymore because of a situation with Powerbomb the movie.
Well, and not only did they almost win the titles this night, but let's not forget that like 2 days before the show, Worldwide was retired.
Oh yeah, he was retired.
I forgot about that.
Man, this guy is a fucking roller coaster. Let me tell you. I know we're jumping out of chronological order here, but this fucking guy around WWE officials the other night at SmackDown does not know how to fucking handle himself. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to
Weird Body.
I'm not. Yeah. Weird Body was not there.
See, that's what I'm saying. He didn't have him to tell what he can and can't say.
Worldwide had his suit on. He had his gold chain out, and he didn't understand that he shouldn't have drank so excessively before he was going to be around.
The podcast.
I would say the podcast didn't teach him.
I was looking at him like, dude, what are you doing? It's 6 p.m. Why are you doing a shot of tequila? Like, we got things to do after the show. We're gonna meet up with some people. I'm gonna try to, help you guys do a little networking. And
the wrong type of networking.
Yeah, it did not go too well. That's all I'm gonna say. But back to the show.
Well, back to the show. So they are on it. Essentially, we're going to make you guys watch it from smartmarkvideo.com, DVD or MP4, but there was an ending, and there was a foot on the rope from To Infinity and Beyond. thus creating all sorts of controversy as to whether or not the Weird World did win or did not win, and we restart the match. Beyond that, I guess it's the ending of an era. We end the shows at what is known as Tequila Jacks, also ending the undefeated streak for the Weird World.
There's a silver lining in everything, Steve Guy.
Fair enough, Brian Carson. The next match on the show, as we talked about, this is going to be, the show was student heavy. It's a different kind of thing, and this involves a lot of our younger guys. It's a four-way match. Chase Oliver, Garrison King, Malcolm Monroe III, and Trey Lamar. And Malcolm Monroe III, MM3, he's a guy that had just made his debut with AIW a month or two before that.
Like whatever
April, March. It was our
whatever show we did in March at
It
Tequila
was our
Jacks.
last show at Tequila Jacks. Before that, and then he was also in the Back to the Future Cup.
Yeah.
House of the Rising Sun. That's
Yes,
what that's where
there
he
you
made his
go.
debut.
Yep.
I think this guy is another guy like, Philly and Marino and so many others that, I'll say it a million times. These aren't the guys right now, but these are the guys that are going to be the guys pretty soon because independent wrestling is thinning out at a rapid pace as far as attractions go and good in-ring talent goes. And I think Malcolm Monroe III can be one of those guys. He's just got to, get out there a little more and make a little bit more of a name for himself. But that's kind of what we're trying to do with these shows is kind of work towards the future. And hopefully, if half the AW roster that's on the Mount Carmel shows got signed, we have people to fill those spots that, can come in and deliver. And that's what we're figuring out on these Music Link shows. Some guys, maybe not. Maybe they don't do that well. Maybe they're not ready, whatever, you know what I mean? But MM3, Malcolm Monroe III, he's a guy that I think is ready. It's just a matter of when is there going to be a spot opening up on one of those shows.
Well, I was saying, not only are they showing that they're ready to, but you're breeding that familiarity with at least a chunk of our crowd. Obviously, it's not the full 500 people that are packed into Mount Carmel.
Right.
But for the couple hundred that are at these bar shows, and a lot of them are those core kind of front row, the people who are always buying the VIP tickets, so that they see these guys, they see MM3, and they see the stuff he does, so that when he does show up at Mount Carmel, they're excited. It's not just a dead room to this guy walking out, and then he's got to win him over throughout the match.
Well, and this is a match, as we'll get into later on, that in one of the next couple episodes, that really helps the other three competitors inside this in terms of a lot of people already familiar with Gary the King Baller, but also Chase Oliver and Trey Lamar. It just breeds more familiarity with
and,
them.
I think these shows are where, Gary the King Baller finally started finding himself a little bit, like I said, everyone learns at a different pace. And, he was a guy that might have been a little bit further behind, but a lot of people don't realize this. He's a little further behind because he is currently in law school.
Yeah.
So I don't want to kill the gimmick or anything, but this guy is going to law school and wrestling school and working a job, and he's already gotten a regular 4-year degree.
Yeah, for those of you waiting for the next AMA episode, we're waiting for Gary to finish that degree. And
yeah, so we know what we can and can't say.
then we'll be on board with that. Or not AMA, but the email questions, all the good stuff. Anything that we've ever done controversial. We're waiting for Gary the King Baller.
But yeah, so, I feel like Gary's finally starting to kind of come into his own a little bit and he's a guy that kind of lacked confidence.
Yeah.
He's got this, he has this persona and this gimmick, and when he does it, he's on, but he still lacked confidence when he was in the ring doing things. And sometimes, he still does, but I feel like this show finally, he broke out of his shell a little bit.
Well, and you were talking about how different it is between what you can do in training. He's a guy that can do a million things in training. You get out in front of a live crowd, and it's a whole different ballgame, and he's a guy that didn't have that comfort level for a long time.
And not to go too far back and everything, but it really wasn't until Johnny's last show where, that's the biggest crowd that he had ever worked. He'd worked these bar shows and a couple other promotions where there weren't a lot of people, and there, but you walk into a packed gym of like close to 600 people, and again, like that match, I know I was involved with it and everything, but I mean, he delivered to it, and like the fact that he didn't miss a beat, the fact that he got 600 people to stand up and applaud him for what he did, I think helped his confidence. Again, like you said, Thorne, guy's working a job, he's taking care of it. He takes care of his grandmother and his aunt too, and he's getting his law degree, and he already has a 4-year degree. So yeah, when he, the fact that he can.
And his mom is a suicide girl. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot to handle.
It's a lot of stress on a man. It's a lot of stress on a man.
You go from doing such a huge event like Johnny's last show, and then like you said, Thorne, he's getting more and more confidence as he does more and more of these shows. I think it's just him evolving as a wrestler as well too.
Well, and Carson, this match features again 2 younger guys that you have worked closely with, and for them. This is, Trey, this is technically his 3rd match because he had the throw-in with Kaplan.
Yeah.
Chase Oliver, this is his 2nd match.
Yeah.
And like I said, some guys learn at a different level, and some guys are just confident.
Yeah.
And that confidence comes over in the ring. And Trey Lamar is a confident motherfucker. And that is probably why a lot of people don't really like him that much.
I think he can rub you the wrong way pretty easily.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't deny that.
And he's not, and it's not on purpose.
He's always been respectful to me. Don't get me wrong.
I personally feel Trey Lamar is very misunderstood.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
he just is a confident guy, and sometimes people take that confidence different ways. So, but since he's a confident guy, he's always showed confidence when he's been in front of a crowd because he is just that kind of guy. Same thing with Chase Oliver, also another very confident guy. So he. He is, these guys are confident in real life and kind of carry themselves a little bit differently in real life. And that is why that may be a detriment behind the curtain for them, where they rub some people wrong backstage. It helps them excel when they're in front of people. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Right, because they know what they can do in the ring. Like Chase and Trey, like what Thorne's saying, Wadsworth, what you're saying too, they can rub people the wrong way, but it's just because they know what they can do in the ring. They know, like, they can do the 450s and the 630s and the Phoenixes and all these dives and everything. Because, I mean, again, training these guys, like, we didn't have to tell them, try this. We just, brought the crash pad out one day, and they're doing all this stuff, like, with ease, too. Like, Chase Oliver, I remember his first day, I think he did a Phoenix splash. Or something, crazy flip dive or whatever.
You watch that kid in practice, and he accidentally does a 630.
We all looked at each other like, did he really just do that? And then Trey does an a Asbury flop or whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's so many different names for it, and he did it gracefully too. Like he almost paused in midair when he does
very
it.
Smooth. Everything they do is very.
And another thing that kind of set these guys out maybe apart from a lot of people that show up to sign up for wrestling school is they showed up in shape.
Yeah.
So
right.
They're doing these drills that have sent people home and never coming back, and they're like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
We do this initiation drill called the first day drill, which is very, very cardio intensive and very.
It's not fun.
It's very hard.
It's not fun.
And both of these guys just breezed through it like it was a warm up, and they're like, oh, that's it.
I mean, they were getting heat with people that are already, at training. Some people that have been there much longer than Chase and Trey, and they're not. It wasn't so much anything they did, but it's just why the hell can they do this so easily? Why can they get through the first day drill and I was sucking wind when I was doing it? Why can they do a shooter day one of practice, but I can barely take a suplex off the top rope?
Yeah, so I guess these guys are kind of they're in a very weird position to where the fans love them. There's a little to be desired in the locker room, but you know what I mean. They're gonna learn one way or another. It's just especially if they keep delivering, they're gonna keep being on shows, and every time they've been out there, they've delivered. A lot of people thought that the Kaplan Trey Lamar match was going to be. The reckoning for Trey Lamar, and he just took it.
He just went out there and did what he had to do.
He knew
exactly. He knew what he had to do.
He took it in stride and said, "Okay, now what?" You know what I mean? So as much as the guys like him are confident, they also have no problem earning their stripes.
Right.
And I also think that rubs people wrong too.
As we'll get to. Certainly. Well, the next match, as we talk about some of these younger guys, includes two more younger gentlemen, one of which comes through the AIW school. And that gentleman, I also should say, helps this match build the birth of a new fan base in AIW,
the Bishop Brigade.
The Bishop Brigade. This is Joshua Bishop taking on Jonathan Wolf III. And Jonathan Wolf, he's another guy who returns to Tequila Jack's. We saw him at the House of the Rising Sun, another guy that came from a different federation, another young guy.
Is he the third? I thought he was just Jonathan Wolf.
You're right. My apologies.
IK3.
IK3 is what I'm thinking there.
I still don't know what that means. But
I don't either. I know Indianapolis is where he hails from. I figure that's the I don't know.
Whatever.
I'm sure he knows.
Yeah. One day I'll have him explain it to me. I just say it.
Wasn't on his job application.
No.
Right. So it's Jonathan Wolf, Joshua Bishop, and Matt Wadsworth. You got to call an interesting moment in this match.
The pile driver.
Tombstone pile driver.
Tombstone on the floor.
First 30 seconds.
Right
early in that match. And the Bishop Brigade, as you call them, were sitting on that stage because that's that new stage did allow us, rather than to put me up there. We used it for more seating.
Let me just describe the Bishop Brigade really quick. So Joshua Bishop, another guy straight out of high school. Maybe a little bit different than the Big Twan Tucker, straight out of high school as a kind of a popular guy out of high school.
Like a star athlete.
So yeah, he was a star lacrosse player.
Big kid, man.
But let me
he is. You don't realize that he's one of those guys. Like, I remember people saying it about PB Smooth. Like, you didn't realize how big he was when you saw him in street clothes at the shows. Where same thing with Josh.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like such an ordinary dude, and then you see him in his gear, and you're like, that guy's
you stand next to him, and you realize how big he really is.
And he's another, he's a blue chip athlete. Like I said, lacrosse star. He had full ride scholarships to universities all over the country, and he turned them down because he told his parents that he wants to be a pro wrestler.
Let me go back.
Now his parents are not like think of that as a parent. Your kid is getting a full ride.
Actually, I have a 13-year-old son who's
free
played a number of
education.
sports.
Free education, and he says, "No, I've known since I was 16 that I'm going to the AIW wrestling school."
Let me go further back than that, because not only did he turn those down, but initially he was going to be a star playing high school football, decides he's going to quit football because he finds out that AIW now has a wrestling school. Emails Chandler Biggins, I want to join your wrestling school. Has already quit football. He is done with high school sports. And then he gets the email back from Chandler Biggins.
Must be 18.
Must be 18 years old. This isn't Mexico, man. You can't start training when you're 14. It doesn't happen.
So the Bishop Brigade is, basically lots of high school girls, young dudes.
Oh yeah, pounding PBRs at house parties.
Yeah, like that. That type of people, and then his parents.
Well, and give them all the credit in the world for as much as they're not on board with the decision to not take a free college education.
They're there to support.
They're going to support their son, and that's fantastic.
And let me describe the first time I saw Mr. Bishop's father,
who is a wrestling fan, though. By the way,
huge wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So I got comp tickets to a house show, a WWE house show in Canton, which is where he's from. So I say, hey Josh, you can come with us. I got extra tickets. Cool. Pick him up. Whatever. We go. And there's a line. And this gigantic man in an NWO shirt walks up to Josh and starts talking to him. I go, who the fuck is that guy? This guy is looking like Scott Norton is in line, okay? Like 1996 Scott Norton.
He's
like
a brick wall.
And I go, who's that? He goes, oh, that's my dad, man. And I go, what? Josh's mom, also an avid listener of the podcast, to make sure he stays out of trouble.
Yeah, do we interject that story? Do we leave that out?
I mean, you could tell it, I guess.
It's all right. So, I mean, it's common knowledge at this point, if you listen to the podcast, that we had a student at WrestleMania with us, WrestleMania weekend, went to Walleye Mania.
with a fake ID.
With a fake ID, had that fake ID taken away, and it turns
Then he
out,
had that fake ID taken away again after his mom listened to the podcast and went into his wallet.
Because he had to rebuy it. He rebought
his
it.
mother went into his bedroom while he was sleeping, went into his wallet, and took that fake ID right out after she listened to the podcast.
No wallet mania for Mr. Bishop in 2018.
Nope.
But so anyway, he does this tombstone.
He
And
takes
I
the
just-
tombstone on the floor. Yeah, when we say does the tombstone, he gets tombstoned on the floor.
Right.
Correct.
And-
He's on the receiving end.
And this is just so dangerous because Josh is probably about half a foot taller than Jonathan Wolf. And
second match.
That's fair, yeah.
and
You know,
just
doesn't have a ton of experience on positioning for this.
especially outside of a ring,
Keep in mind, we
on
don't
a bar floor.
oiled up.
due to
everything up.
due to renovations, we don't have AC. You're a little bit sweatier than you might be at the show.
It was hot, it was hot in there.
I see Mr. Bishop
Oh, God. I had to prime you from that balcony commentary position.
steam just erupts like it's like a cartoon. He is immediately mad at his son's decision to be a pro wrestler. And I could not have cared if Josh was hurt or not. I was worried that he was okay, and then he was going to have to see his dad after the show.
I mean, just from the commentary position, hits it, and I direct line of sight because he's on that side of the ring. He's outside the ring. They're on the stage. And they're outside the ring directly in front of where he's standing on the stage. And they hit that tombstone, and the head's just shaking. And like Thorne was saying, you could see steam rising off of this man's head.
Well, this match has a lot of things, a lot of action in and outside the ring, and it paves way for one of Brian Carson's favorite moments of the night as it makes its way back outside of the ring.
Dude. Okay, local AIW superfan, Kenny Wang. Okay, he's a huge,
Oh, God, I forgot about him in this
huge
match.
Joshua Bishop fan. I mean, I think he bought Josh's first shirt.
He did,
I'm pretty
which
sure.
nobody knew this
And
night.
he paid him double for it.
Right.
paid him double.
He gave him like 30.
Well,
like
and
40
Also,
bucks
at the
for
end
it.
of the night, Kenny Wang introduces himself to Joshua Bishop's entire family. Tells Mrs. Bishop, "I'm coming to your house for dinner."
No,
We're gonna have family dinner.
he said something like, "We got a big year ahead of us," or something like that. Like, he's
that
gonna-
was also said.
like he's
yes.
his-
Christmas morning,
He's
man.
the agent, man.
Christmas morning, Kenny Wayne's going to be at the Bishop household opening presents with everyone.
But Carson, back to the match. You go ahead and tell.
He like, you know, he comes out the black. Josh comes out the Black Betty, and like it gets the whole crowd up and everything. And it's you know, it's a good entrance for him. He comes out, and when the music stops, it's usually quiet when you wait for your opponent. All you hear is Kenny Wayne. "Let's go, Josh, you fucking savage!" And the whole crowd just starts laughing their ass off. And they're like, first of all, you can't see him because he's all the way like to
No,
the
he
left.
was like against the bar, but kind of
always
tucked under,
incognito.
almost
You couldn't
tucked
see
under
him.
the balcony.
It's like you couldn't see him, but you knew who it was. Like you knew it was Kenny Wayne.
Side note for the listeners: John Thorne closing his windows.
Hey, man, this
as
is-
Brian Carson.
Hey, I'm in a-
shouts,
this-
"You fucking
I'm new to
savage."
this.
We're not at the studio
yeah.
apartment anymore.
I'm new to this community. There's a
true,
lot of
right?
rules.
And there's a
Say,
lot
this
of
is the
windows
first-
open right now.
This is the first episode ever recorded at the new studio
and then
apartment.
the match
It's
starts.
kind of a house now.
It is 2
and
floors.
Before they go to the outside and do the tombstone, like Wolf's like giving him chops or kicks or something like that, and Kenny Wang again just goes, "He's just a wolf, Josh. You're a fucking animal." And again, it's quiet, and everyone is just like laughing their asses off because they know first of all who Kenny Wang is, and they're probably thinking to themselves, Josh probably doesn't even know this kid.
This guy is such a fucking idiot.
You know,
And
ultimately,
you should have been
he
you should have been
makes
on commentary for this match, trying to keep a straight face, trying to call this match.
I was
trying to get a couple of newer faces over, and all you can hear is him yelling
Ultimately-
anytime he gets a chance.
Ultimately, Kenny Wang makes his way to the front row. He's at the barricade, half inside the area
Like
of the
hanging
ring.
over it.
Yeah, hanging over it, smacking on it, trying to rally Joshua Bishop to his feet to compete in this match.
I mean, I was up there in the balcony watching the match, and again, thank God I wasn't on commentary because as soon as Kenny said that both times, I just started dying laughing. And Dom did commentary. with
I
me.
was thinking it was Dom.
And
I'm pretty sure it was.
and I can see Dom like trying not to laugh because he can hear Kenny Wang yelling, you know, "You're a fucking savage, you're a fucking animal." It's just, but that's number one Bishop fan Kenny Wang for you.
well,
He's a fucking idiot.
Briefly more on him later because there is one Kenny Wang introduction that has to be said. Not a really an introduction, reintroduction. At any rate, the next match as we go into this sets up something for Absolution. The match itself, Jollyville Fuckets taking on the Young Studs. But what happens is you have this new AIW crew. They interject themselves, and we talk about guys earning their stripes. Well, one of the students really did.
I was on commentary for this match. I remember this one.
All I'm gonna say is what happened wasn't the way it was supposed to happen.
Nope.
And I think going back to that confidence being exude in the back.
Yeah.
I guess he must have rubbed some people the wrong way, and the veterans of sorts, they kind of go off and they go into business for themselves and they beat up Trey Lamar for real. And that's not how it was supposed to go.
You've got this debuting faction that's supposed to be a threat, and they just get destroyed in their first appearance.
Yeah, so that didn't go too well. I guess we'll just leave it at that. Other than Gary the King Baller cuts a pretty good promo.
He actually was. It was a lot better than I would have anticipated in that situation because I didn't think he was going to be the guy that was kind of the mouthpiece of the
Gary
group.
the King Baller,
Pissed off
underestimated
Baller
as a mouthpiece.
is one of my favorite things in wrestling. Like bad guy to the like street thug.
Played in Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes to Virginia, right? Is that where he
somewhere
went?
in Virginia?
Somewhere in Virginia, yeah.
He ended up.
What's the
somewhere
big school in Virginia? West Virginia.
Yeah, especially baseball wise.
Yeah, he goes to West
Yeah,
Virginia.
it was West
Yeah.
Virginia. Yeah.
West Virginia University. So he's another athlete, but things that he does well at athletically, it doesn't necessarily translate to
wrestling ring.
Wrestling yet. He's still got a little bit to learn, and just like Twan Tucker, and it's nothing against him. They just learn at different paces. So obviously this was a learning experience for him. More so than maybe some other guys because Frankie Flynn gets mad
Very easily.
and he gets mad because this is supposed to be a big showcase for him, and he messes up a few things, and
Frankie Flynn lets him know
he let him know in the ring
during the course of that match.
and we'll just leave it at that, and then on to the main event, right? Is that next?
Yeah, then the main event is the women's title match. It's supposed to be Shayna Baszler, our champion, taking on Candice LeRae.
Candice LeRae cannot make it because there is a death in her family. So she gets a hold of me early in the morning. I'm trying to find any sort of replacement because the show before that, Shayna can't make it.
For the Shayna Lufisto that
So,
became you and Lufisto.
I don't want to then
Top
have
of the year.
Then I don't want to have another there's plenty of guys that Shayna could have wrestled.
He didn't buy into me suggesting him and Shayna,
Including
in
John
a bar
Thorne?
brawl.
I mean,
Were you ready to lace up?
I was
2
ready
shows in a row?
I was ready to lace up, but I thought that would kind of devalue the women's belt a little bit. 2 non-defenses.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get a hold of everybody. I get a hold of Angel Dust, but she's booked. But she's only booked an hour away. So she, works it out to where she can do both shows.
Which, backstory, if you were there and you were like, why is this show starting late?
We were stalling for Angel Dust because she had to wrestle in Erie, Pennsylvania, and then drive. And she actually, even with the stalling, she got there after intermission, about 2 matches before her and Shayna.
Like Shane Douglas.
She got there, I think, during the Jonathan Wolf Joshua Bishop match after it had already started.
Yeah, so they didn't have a lot of time to put something together, but I thought it was good. Angel Dust now has changed her name to Zoe Sky.
Zoe Sky.
Yeah.
I saw that randomly in like a tweet today, and I was so lost.
Yeah, I was very confused too.
But
This is the hot news. That's why I'm bringing it up. I don't know if anybody knows. Angel Dust is no more. She's now Zoe Sky.
I was like, did I miss something? Did she sign with somebody?
And, she had told me prior to that, because I did the introduction a little bit differently, and she had said, I'm working out this new thing. Could you make sure that you say this? Yeah, no problem. Whatever you want. And while I have no doubt that Shayna versus Candice would have, been amazing and the crowd would have loved it,
I heard you might might have a chance to see that coming up soon.
You might have an opportunity
I don't want to
sometime
say
soon.
too much, but Angel Dust versus Shayna, boy, did it really fill the void that was going to be left.
I think Angel Dust has been an underrated talent for probably about the last 10 years.
I would agree.
She just can't seem to break out for whatever reason. I think maybe it's a little bit of coming out of her shell issue. But she has all the talent inside of the ring. It's just, the other stuff that makes wrestling so important, I think, is, what she struggles with. And I think that's why she struggled to, to kind of, get that big, that big spotlight, that big opportunity.
Well, and I give her all the credit in the world because she's one of those ones that can effectively do different roles. She's a very traditionally underdog face because she's smaller than everybody. But if you were at the One Girls Night Out show, you saw her as that cocky heel in the match with Shotzi Black.
Yep.
And she was fantastic in that role.
Blackheart.
Shotzi Blackheart, yes. So there's that match. The show ends as we
Highly
usually
recommended.
do. We make our way from the far east side. We go all the way back to the west side. And we have ourselves a small get-together. Not really
Not an
after
official
party.
after party, but Kenny Wang still fucking finds his way to where we're at.
Finds his way to, we won't say the location.
Still had the
It shows up
Joshua
again.
Bishop shirt on, too.
Shout out to the Hooley House.
All right.
Brooklyn, Ohio.
Yeah, already wearing his Joshua Bishop shirt. He is there. And if you listen to this podcast ahead of time, you would know that the Duke could not make the show because he was main eventing his show somewhere else.
Imagine that. Just
That did not prevent the Duke from making the
Hold
unofficial
on.
after party.
let that sink in. Just give it a second.
Let me say it. You want me to say it one more time? The Duke could not make it be booked on Night of the Creeps because he was main eventing a show.
Actually, I take that back. The Duke will be main eventing another show
I'll say.
on September the 17th in Brooklyn, also in Brooklyn, Ohio.
I had to
Ohio.
wrestle 3 main events against him at that promotion.
The Duke will be defending his UXWA Heavyweight Championship belt on September 17th.
That's the Duke
Is that going to be
1279 on Twitter.
a missing belt match?
Sunday afternoon.
Oh,
I don't think they know about that.
kayfabe
Yeah,
that.
well,
We got editing. That's okay.
But so the Duke will be main eventing on September 17th. Cheap
it's going to cut into his softball games.
free plug. Grado's on the event. I don't know if that's going to be who he's wrestling.
It's
Actually, I do know who he's wrestling because they had me book their shows.
Not
The Duke's going to be wrestling Dominic Garini again. So if you want to see the Duke get his fucking dick put in the dirt again, come out to Brooklyn, Ohio.
There you go. Not a huge after party, but I will say this about this after party: if you
Small but mighty.
if you encounter a moment where Alex Worldwide Keller and Kenny Wang are on the same page about something,
Can only
it's probably
imagine.
time to leave. And that happened.
It usually is something that isn't legal that we won't discuss. They like to get into illegal activities. And man, the Duke was experiencing some culture shock.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them in the accounting world that he
The
comes from.
CPA world.
They're not playing against him in softball.
Yeah. So we'll just leave it at that. The Duke, I don't know. The Duke did not know what he signed up for. He wish he would have stayed at that main event.
Yeah, he should have been on Plenty of Fish or OK Cupid instead. Not at the Hula House.
The Duke on OkCupid?
I don't know. I don't remember what we were signing him up. He's on like a couple different ones. He wouldn't confirm or deny what they were. We'll have to look back.
Ladies, if you're
Listen
out there
back.
and you've encountered the Duke on a dating website, please tweet me.
We want to have that AMA episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah, please.
Let's just start creating him dating things, profiles. Well, that's going to wrap it up here on AIW's The Card is Going to Change. This was the Night of the Creeps episode. The last
Fitting
show,
that we end it by talking about the Duke.
Absolutely. The last show at Tequila Jack's, now called Music Links. For everybody you've heard on this episode, Excellence Personified, Brian Carson.
Come to the show on Friday.
This Friday.
See Glacier versus Joey Janela.
Yeah, Glacier
There
versus
you
Joey
go.
Janela. That's
Who-
really all
Joey
you
Janela
need.
told me personally this is like he's preparing for this to be his match of the year.
And
And that says a lot.
Yeah.
we really need to pack this show because, like I said, we typically go a little lesser on the budget for these shows. I'm taking a risk. I'm rolling the dice. Don't make
Glacier
me
and Joey Janela is bigger than the budget for any of the previous shows, I think.
don't make me regret it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, all right, there you go. And again, Brian Carson for President AIW Matt Wadsworth, for owner of AIW John Thorne. My name is Steve Guy, your moderator of sorts. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week.